There is a detailed research and analysis that has been prepared by Tata Institute of Mumbai on how illegal immigrants are threat to our country in all which ways, say it be social, economical and political as well. And to know more about it, I am being joined by the Vice Chancellor of Jawaharlal Nehru University, Professor Shantishri Dhulipudi Panditji. Thank you, ma'am, for speaking with Times Network. There was a research and detailed analysis that we saw today that was presented over here about the illegal immigrants. What, according to you, till what extent these illegal immigrants are threat for India?
See, basically, if you see, there are more than, I'm told, 2 crores. These are the official figures just from one country, and many more from other countries. This is quite a large number. The question is, they are a threat to my resources because India's resources are limited, both economic, social and political resources. So the question is, citizens will lose these resources to the illegal immigrants because they are so good at getting all the identities. And that is a major problem, and I think India has to awaken. And as you mostly know, even America, what the elections were won on immigration issues. So I think it is time that democracies like India and the United States work. We welcome people to come into India. It is not targeted towards any community. It is a question of whether you legally come in or you illegally come in.
There we saw the data regarding Rohingyas, we saw data about the Rohingya Muslims and especially illegal immigrants coming from the border areas of our country or the bordering countries. So how do you think that in what number they can rise now in the upcoming years, because it also showed the data that specifically in Mumbai that the original population, the Mumbaikars or the Indians specifically are not getting their own rights because of these illegal immigrants?
Yes, you take, as it was stated in the report, where are the coolies? The coolies are the original inhabitants of Mumbai. They are the most deprived, they are the poorest of the poor, and whereas these illegal immigrants have become the new middle class. So this is something that doesn't talk good about our own system, where our own people, who are our original citizens, original inhabitants, are losing out to the more aggressive people who are illegal immigrants. Illegal immigrants are going to be aggressive because they have a sense of insecurity. And hence they are going to be more, aggressive. So there have to be policies of civil society, of people of Mumbai who have to wake up to these dangers.
Are these people involved in activities like smuggling, human trafficking, and in fact terrorism, narco-terrorism as you mentioned?
Yes, most of them you would have seen are involved, and many of them even disrespect our national symbols. They even kick many of, there were photographs where there was a huge uproar of Rohingya Muslims who were kicking the, unknown soldiers because they don't value what we value constitutionally. And my worry is this is nothing to do with any religious group. See, I might be an agnostic or even an atheist. Then my right to live is also challenged because they want a particular law according to their religious affiliation to also be imposed on me, which I don't accept. Because see what they are doing in Bangladesh to minorities who are Hindu, Dalits, Buddhists and Christians. So if you see, it is to all minorities. So this is very dangerous. As long as they come here legally and assimilate, then it is all right. But if they are illegally, I think society also has to become unwelcoming of illegal immigrants.
On 5th of November, you also spoke in Tata Institute itself on the same research and analysis, and you highlighted the fact and in fact questioned that how can someone own property which is larger than Pakistan within India? And also you said that how can temple become Waqf property, and Hinduism was born much before. This was what you said.
Yeah, you're right, because see, even this whole you would have seen from Karnataka, this whole issue of Waqf property bill which is coming in, it is a bill that is much needed. Because if you're a secular state, I don't think any religious group can own public land. And if they've got it illegally, as in Karnataka it has been proved, beyond doubt. And how can an old Chola temple built 3,000 years back become waqf property? I don't understand. See, it is not logical. That is what I was questioning. So there is something wrong at the local level, either corruption or corrupt politicians or corrupt officials who are working hand in glove with these people and cheating the people of India. And I think it is time that we wake up to all these, grabbing, which is happening in the name of a particular identity.
But they say that it is a narrative that's being built and keeping in mind that it is the third largest body which owns most of the land after defense and railways in India, that's Waqf.
From when did they get that property? Before that, it must have belonged to somebody else. How did it transfer? It transferred through illegal means. So anything that is illegal after independence should have been declared illegal. So I don't know, and hence it is all the more important that the Waqf bill has to come, because this is not that if you are going to have identity politics in grabbing land, it will be very sad for a democratic country, and especially a country that Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar, who was a great constitutionalist, and he warned us of this. And still we are not taking the warning. And he's a great Maharashtrian. Tell me which Marathi party will oppose what Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar wrote.
So you believe that the amendment in Waqf is must?
I believe that we need an egalitarian India where you cannot have religious groups dictate terms to any Indian citizen. And land has to be logically seen. You can't have a 3,000-year-old temple become Waqf property. Either you have usurped it or there is something wrong. Take even the farmers in Karnataka. How did they change the land record now? Where they wrote Waqf on their land. That means it is an interpolation. Somebody has cheated somewhere in the way.
Since you belong from southern India, Kerala's Wayanad is going to witness... you southern India, I'm saying. But yes, it's going to witness bypoll now. Priyanka Gandhi is fighting. So the Christian community there is demanding that now Priyanka Gandhi or Congress for that matter should give a clear stand on Waqf specifically, that either they amend or they repeal the law. As of now, there has been no clarity. So do you think that the past government did not give a clear indication so as to what they want? Because as of now also they are not speaking anything.
I think unfortunately we are politicizing all issues. I think when it comes to such issues, we should go above politics. And I think the Christian community is right in its stand because it feels threatened. And they have as much a right in Kerala, Wayanad, as much as anybody else has.
Prime Minister has said that ek hai to safe hai. Do you believe this, keeping in mind today's presentation and keeping India united? It is important to go in parallel the lines that ek hai to safe hai.
See, it is always said, it's a very old saying, that one stick, and if you're a group of sticks, you can face challenges better. It is true because there has been an attempt in the last 75 years after independence to divide the Hindus on the basis of caste, which is very unfortunate. I think caste should be annihilated, as Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar visualized. And I think if every other religion calls for unity, you say it's secular. If Hindus call for unity, you say it is communal. How is it possible? It is, I think everybody's unity then should be secular, or everybody's unity should be communal.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thanks a lot. So that was the Vice Chancellor of JNU in a conversation with Times Network. With Vijay Harish, this is Tejshri for Times Network from Delhi.